In the 1920s, the Harlem Renaissance began. At the end of World War I, you understand. It was a movement of the music, art, and poetry. It changed people's view on black society. It all started through the Great Migration. The blacks moved north to escape discrimination. W.B. Du Bois helped keep their spirits alive. The blacks were inspired to start a new life. Many moved to Harlem because living there was cheap. There were lots of jobs whites didn't want to keep. With the new migrants came their new culture, such as their music, their arts, and their literature. In the 1920s, the Harlem Renaissance began. At the end of World War I, you understand. It was a movement of the music, art, and poetry. It changed people's view on black society. Louis Armstrong played jazz on the trumpet. Duke Ellington wrote jazz music without any fret. This new music was bright and improvised. Ragtime blues and rap was cool, they realized. Aaron Douglas made paintings in a style from Cubism, and Augusta Savage made sculptures to show racism. Mckay, Toomer, and Cullen were pretty good at jazz poetry to help tell the world that. In the 1920s, the Harlem Renaissance began. At the end of World War I, you understand, it was a movement of the music, art, and poetry. It changed people's view on black society. The Harlem Renaissance began to end with the stock market crash in the Great Depression. Even though it started to end in 1929, the flame really died when they were allowed to drink wine. Prohibition came to an end in 1933. White men didn't go to clubs anymore, you see. Then Harlem residents began to move out to find work because there was a work drought. In the 1920s, the Harlem Renaissance began. At the end of World War I, you understand, it was a movement of the music, art, and poetry. It changed people's view on black society. The Harlem Renaissance began in Harlem, but its impact spread even farther than Belgium. People began to respect the black peoples. Their new identity led them to treat them as equals. Without the influence of the Harlem Renaissance, life for blacks would not correspond. Segregation would be everywhere, and everyone would be full of hot air. In the 1920s, the Harlem Renaissance began. At the end of World War I, you understand, it was a movement of the music, art, and poetry. It changed people's view on black society.